Good afternoon. Welcome to the Touchdesigner portion of your Foundations of Creative Coding class. If you don't know who I am, my name is Michael McKellar. I'm one of the professors from what we call the Play division of AET, Play being Performance, Lighting, and Interactivity. I am a professor at practice that works specifically on immersive and interactive technologies for use in live performance or artistic creation, from reading dancers on a stage through to creating unique brand experiences for companies. So over the next few weeks, we have two videos that are going to help us build something inside the visual programming environment called Touchdesigner that you see in front of you here. Now, if you don't have it, you're going to go to derivative.ca and you're going to come over to the Downloads tab and you're going to get the latest version of Touchdesigner 099 for either Mac or Windows, depending on your operating system. Now, the Touchdesigner is a visual programming environment that relies quite heavily on the graphics card. It will run on most laptops or most any computer you have, but you might find your mileage varies depending on how high quality your computer is. If you find that you're having issues completing these tasks in class with your personal computer, as an AET student, you have access to something called the Play Lab, which is inside another building located next to the main Fine Arts Library. It's called PAC 3.204, or the Play Lab, and you're going to access it by leaving the Fine Arts Library perpendicular to the TPA loading dock. And you're going to come up around the building and you'll see there's currently a construction site with a temporary ramp onto it. Your AET pass will let you into this building, up the stairs following the signs for the Play Lab. And in there, we have special laptops with graphics card that will allow you to use Touchdesigner to its full extent. Now, Touchdesigner has free use for non-commercial uses. So when you first log in, you will be shown the dialog manager or the key manager. You're going to have to create an account here with a username and password, and that will let you activate a non-commercial key that will let you use Touchdesigner. Now, there are some limitations to the key that will give you, but for everything we're going to be looking at in this short project will be fine. The main limitation is that it limits the resolution you can output to 1280 by 720. It limits some more advanced features the deeper you get in. Now, before we dive in and start making a project inside Touchdesigner, I want to just give you a really quick overview of what it is and how it works. So unlike a conventional programming language that you've been using in, say, processing, all of these things we see on our screen are called nodes or operators, and they all have specific bits of code inside of them that allow them to do separate things. Essentially, we can see these as functions that are pre-built that we drag and drop into each other to allow certain things to happen. Touchdesigner's main purpose is to allow for the creation, manipulation, or somewhat control of real-time graphics or data. Everything inside Touchdesigner is designed to happen in real time as you develop it. So unlike processing where we need to push play and it compiles code and then runs it, everything in Touchdesigner is always running all the time. So for example, in this demo scene that loads when you first open Touchdesigner, it's taking a movie file, or in this case an image, and then it's applying a random noise to that texture, and then it's turning it into a 3D shape in the form of this cube, and then outputting it as a texture again. And that is one of the main data types inside Touchdesigner. The first being what we call a top, that's purple. That stands for texture operator. And all you need to imagine is if it's purple, it's in some way editing or controlling an image. We then have chop, that stands for channel operator. And in layman's terms, these are like variables. This is where we can store data that we're going to need to use or manipulate later down the chain. In this case, it randomly makes a noise that we could sample as one individual value that's constantly changing. But the benefit of Touchdesigner is it allows us to see values in a long form, as we call a sample here. So there's actually 120 different random numbers at any one time inside this window. Then we have something called SOPs. These are shape operators. So not only, as we can see in this demo, can Touchdesigner deal with 2D and data, but it can also handle 3D manipulation. And it's something that we're going to work with quite a lot inside our example. So SOPs are shapes. We then have mats. These are materials. They are the bridge between a 2D texture like this image and a 3D shape like this. We need to attach textures to a material to be able to use them on a shape. And then finally we have DAT, and DAT stands for data. This is a pure text format of code or data or anything really that we have that's maybe a bit closer to what we've been using inside processing. So I can add it, I could activate it, and then I could start typing. So I could say print hello. I could then unactivate it and run this script. And if I was to look at my textboard, we can see in here it's going to run and print hello. You have been learning processing that is based on Java. Inside Touchdesigner, although it has this very neat visual drag and drop boxes together method, every single thing that we see on our screen is running Python underneath the surface. So when I type a message like print hello, that's actually the Python command for printing a message, the same way that you've been working with print or println inside processing. Python and processing are very similar in the language that they use, but Python can be seen as less constrictive. So there's no need for a semicolon at the end of each line. If I was to declare a variable, I could just write value is equal to 10 or value 1 is equal to hello. And both of these are valid variables, but I've not had to declare one as being an int or the other as being a string. You can kind of think of Python as the lazy man's processing, but it also happens to be a much more powerful language and has tools that mean we can access things like the operating system's core, and we can ask it to do things like connect with external devices much easier than processing can, which is a fairly high level restricted language. Inside the project that we build, we're not actually going to be dealing with Python that much, but there will be elements where I'll show you in use. One example is in this displace, which takes the image and warps it by the random noise that we're creating. You can see down here, we have a Python reference using Touchdesigner's specific version of Python. So it says 1 minus me.parameter.uwait.eval. And that's just a really complex way of saying go into the displace message and get the current U parameter. Textures working in UV rather than X and Y than you have been dealing with inside processing. If this has been a bit too confusing and you've not really understood what I've said, don't worry about it, because in the actual project, I'm going to walk you through step by step the creation of a unique responsive 3D visual. And then I'll give you some tasks that I want you to try and achieve without my video and audio support to submit for the project. So as long as you follow the video and create exactly what I'm telling you to create, you will pass this project versus my rubric. And then it also gives you a bit of encouragement to try and spread your creative wings to develop something a bit unique using what we're about to learn. And if you do find this interesting or you need help or you want to know more about it, please do reach out to me. My email should be included on the screen right now. So this is the sort of content that I would teach inside my generative media class, where we look at the creation of real-time graphics and images for the use in something like a VJ or a live performance setting. Okay, so I think that's enough of an introduction. Let's have a look at what we're going to be building in this project.